Hi and welcome to How to Use CAD. I'm Tom Norris and today's tutorial is focused on detailed sections for concrete trench foundations. Every house we build and every house extension will require construction drawings, and you will most certainly require a detailed section for the foundations. By the end of this lesson you will have the general knowledge required to create your own detailed section for foundations. Right, trench foundations. The essential part of every house extension or even on house build. A lot of houses are built with trench foundations, but one thing you can be sure of, it's a detailed section that you're going to be using plenty of if your career is in architectural services. When it comes to, let's making sure we're on the right page with regard to what we're looking at here. This is the rough end of the. This is exactly what it's all about. Now a lot of these they're dug out by hand rather than machinery because there's so many pipes and bits and pieces. Larger projects you get the digger down and you can dig like in that one. But generally speaking, a lot of them are dug out by hand. As you can see, it's not kids play. It's actually pretty hard work. But it's really important that you have a great idea that when you're specifying within your plans, etc., there are people that are going to come along and build according to these plans. So you have a responsibility to make sure you get it as right as you can. When it comes to the actual, after you've done the excavations and all the soil is cleared away, then of course the concrete needs to get poured. And you can see it's going in here. Generally, if you've got quite a few cubic meters, then it probably makes sense to have the concrete pre-mixed or ready mixed and delivered and pumped in rather than mixing it on site. It pumped from the back of the house or from the front right the way through the house into your foundation. So very quick, only takes a few hours. So that's a great way of getting the concrete in for the foundations. In some cases, I'll show you another detail here, another photo. In some cases, depending on the soil conditions and depending on what you're building, you will need to put some steel into the foundations, and the engineer will decide on that when they do the calculations and structural design for the build. But generally speaking, the detailed section that we do it's a primary one. It's there and it's subject to the engineering design and calculations. So that's just to give you an idea of what it can be like. Right, so trench foundations used widely for extensions across the UK and for quite a few new builds. But when we let's have a look at this. When we do the trench foundations, we tend to use a section of the floor, the concrete floor that's going to go inside within the extension or the house. So we tend, instead of starting fresh with a whole new detailed section, we can in fact utilize this one, which is a solid concrete insulated ground floor. And what we want to do is basically put the foundations down here and build a bit of wall on top to illustrate what's actually in the design. So let's crack on. As you can see, I pulled one in and I made a copy so we can mutilate this one as we want. This is our starting point. I've got editorial here. I have a fair idea what it is I want, but when it comes to the foundations, let's do a little box first. We're going to work on the basis of 600 tab 1, 2, 3. So that's generally what the foundations are. And let's try and get a fill here or a hatch. That'll work for us. Concrete. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Now, because we're doing a section, I tried to get, because all of this is to scale, but I obviously can't do a meter and without killing off the format here. So what we're trying to do now is get it as close to as we can. So let me get rid of some of the detailing here. That's the ornamental detailing. It helps the sections to look really nice. And we got thousands of sections, but what they are is they're all over the place. You know, that some are done in grey, some are done in black, and they're different fonts and different sizes. And what we're trying to do now is go over all of our sections and unify them, and we're going to put them up on detailsections.co.uk. So if you're too lazy to make them, having been given a video to show you, you can in fact be able to go down there to detailsections.co.uk and buy whatever sections you want. But right now the cupboards are a bit bare, but as time goes by, we'll be filling out. Right, let's see what we're doing here. So generally speaking, let me bring that up again. What I can in fact do is I can raise all of that a bit. There we go. And I can make the foundation a bit bigger. So now, so we're going to have block insulation and then inside a block of brick on the outside. So for this, because it's the foundation we're focused on rather than the wall, I can in fact do whatever I want. So we need to get insulation. So let me see if I can just copy and paste here. I can take this. This is how we build. Get the polyline out. It should be a yellow background. Yes. Perfect. Don't need that. Just get rid of the little bits of rubbish. Okay. So pull that over. Might have been easier just to make another box, but so this is going to represent the insulation. As I say, I try to do things to scale, but doesn't always work. Get rid of those little balls in a minute. Oh, very nice. Always, we don't edit out the mistakes, because the reality is, no matter who's doing these drawings, doesn't matter how gifted you are, you're going to make loads of mistakes as you're doing it, because it's a little bit like, you know, 2 steps forward or 3 steps forward, 1 step back, which is perfectly normal. Now let me do, there we go. We'll be able to chop some of this. There you go. Well, we can't leave it in. So we need to cut that. Right, so what we're going to do, a million ways of cutting it. The first thing I think of is probably the simplest way of all. There we go. So yeah, you need all your little tips and tricks here to get it going. Right, so now what we're going to do is we need to do some blocks as well. Need another row of blocks. What did I pick up on? This one. Right, so yeah, they don't take too long, especially when you've got a few other detailed sections to basically cannibalize. You're not starting from scratch, so you know, half an hour will be wouldn't be a bad. Well, you can see for yourself. You can watch the end of this video and you'll see how far we come within that bit. Right, don't need that. So now we've got a wall, but I need to centralize this. So we can centralize approximately. So we'll put annotations on the left here in a moment. But that's exactly what we want. So all that is the same. All of that, the vapor barrier, the concrete sand, all of that. So it's just a question now. What have we got here? DPC above ground level. So yeah. So let me see. So the reality is I could have this foundation starting here. It doesn't have to start down there. So this is the DPC, so that would need to go across. All the way. It could be a bit more. Oh dear. Right, so I think what I want to do there, that a line, it's actually a line. I think I want to represent that slightly different, because I have a general habit of doing something a little bit thicker. Right. So let's see how I want to do that. So rather than use a line, and you can cheat as much as you want here, as long as get the job done. So I've done a box instead. Forgive me. DPC 150 above ground level. Yeah, so what I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to take these blocks out and bring the foundations up a bit. Yeah. One and a half. Yeah, okay. Right, let me just, that's the DPC, happy with that. Right, so let's see if we can bring this up a bit. Let's see what happens. If it looks terrible, I guess I won't, but a bit more cutting. It's usually the simple jobs, isn't it? You think something doesn't work. Right, where am I? Modify. Something's not quite right here. Oh, that's why. Right, modify, object trim. There we go. Right. So now, is this going to show through? Yeah. So we're going to have to alter this one. So So I'd probably be better off just to do to start fresh with this one. Alright, bear with me. Wasn't anticipating I'd have to do this, but I've made life difficult for myself, but that's fine too. Right, so if I fill this with, get rid of the line, if I fill this box with, you know what was in it? Stones, isn't it? Get the scale right. Let me just check what the scale is. Might save a lot of going back and forth. Scale is 5. Right, so now what I need to do is to take out anything outside. So I'm going to explode it. And let's make the outer line non-existent. What did I do? That's better. Yeah, it's sorry, I realize I'm not actually talking and focusing. That's what I'm doing. But yeah, so you can see there's sometimes, well, there's no hard and fast rules. You just do what's necessary for the actual drawing. So now I need to take out what's in here, whatever is showing here. All into detail. That's what we're doing, isn't it? Detailed sections. There's a pun in there somewhere. Of course I can cut, isn't it? That would be even more beneficial. So let's see if it will cut. Yeah, smart move, Tom. That's about it, actually. This is a little tricky. Oops. Steady on now. I'm not sure why that one has been troublesome. Actually, is that? Oh, I know why. Because it's the. That's actually the part of the foundation. That's why it was giving trouble. Yeah. Gets a little confusing, but so all I'm taking out here is bits of the. This one. And anything that doesn't come out means it's part of the concrete. So this is that clear? So this line shouldn't be here, isn't it? Yeah, that particular line. I can go. I think. Yes. Now we need a new line. Not quite. Don't need that one, but we need it here. There we go. Done. Right, so you got your foundation. This is the, in case you don't know by the way, these are just rocks and stones or hardcore. That's the base of the concrete floor inside. So as you can see, it's what are they saying? It's sand blinded hardcore. So you have your foundations, and then you have your sand blinded hardcore there. You got your blocks on top. So basically, they use a different type of block. They use a trench block here, and then they use a different type of block going up. But yeah, that's fine. I don't need to represent that because it's all about the foundation. So that's excellent. Right, we're getting there. Now let's see if we can square this up a little bit. That's gonna work out lovely. Now we've got some editorial which we've got to deal with. This is the old one which I took out, and if I grab the new editorial, each detail section will need a bit of editorial. So this is taken from the building code, the building regs. No use doing this, I think it's multi-line, isn't it? Yeah, so I need the, there we go, this box. Let's go up and there we go, and paste. Beautiful. Right, so this one's going to come back in, and what I do here now, I don't need this to come over all the way. Yeah, what we're trying to do here is to smarten up our work. So I can wrap it in a little, which is lovely. Go in. Try to line stuff up a little. If it's feasible. That works for me. Right, in this case I won't need this particular ornamental bit. I think so we let that one go. But I do need to put a few more details in here. So perhaps just let that be for a moment, because I've got more details over here, isn't it? This is the stuff for the right hand side, which 4, 5, 6 and 7. 5, 6, I have 6 here. 4, 5, 6 and 7, damp proof membrane, sand blinded, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so, but I need, it's all on one. Is it multi-text box? Or was just pasted in? I think this is just pasted in. Which means it's, yeah, it's in here. Right, so how do we deal with that? We're going to do them like so. I think I need to bring my little notepad back. As I say, there's no hard and fast rules here about getting the job done. So now if I make a copy of that, I'm going to need 3 of them. And just swap the text over. I've got 3 paragraphs I've got to write in to the left side. To make sure that I have enough detailing in. Then I have to find a bit of space for my editorial. I think I'll be fine. So it's purely these 3 paragraphs, and it's basically on the foundations. I'm going to have to push over a bit this time. Thinking about the size, and the size here, well, yeah, it's a different ballgame. So I've kind of messed this up, but so what we'll do, what I should have done was multi-text. And multi-text means that the font will be the same, and the actual the size of the font and so on will all be the same. Okay, I'm on the wrong one now. I need this one. So if I bring this up, yeah, importing the text into the drawings sometimes is a pain in the butt, because you're coming from all types of different sources. So I'm doing this wrong now. I'm getting excited. This has been done in another piece of software, so it's not, oh wow, this is turning into a little bit of a nightmare. My apologies, I should have made sure that this was all formatted correctly before I started the lesson, so it doesn't waste your time and so on. But the problems are real. So yeah, so you're bringing text in from various sources, and of course some of it is wrapped, some of it is pre-wrapped incorrectly. So ideally what you want is just unwrapped text to come in, so that you can then put it into the multi-text and let it wrap to the width that you want. Right, so that one sorted. Now, multi-text. Get rid of that. And now it'll work properly for me. Okay, so a little bit of patience, that's what it is, and we get there. So I've got 3 little pieces of information I've got to write in, and I can get one down there. So if I copy that, copy it again while I'm here, and then prepare the other bits of information. And I think it's just going to be a gentle wrap, maybe just once or twice. So I've got the first one, multi-text, So for some of you it'll be frustrating, watch me, and for others it'll be what the hell's he doing? He hasn't got no clue. Actually, I do know, but it's what it is the fault here is in the lack of preparation rather than anything else. Right. It's one more to go. Yeah, lack of preparation. That's fine, we're nearly there. Bring it up. Okay. Right, so the depth annotation should be down the bottom. So if I need to, I can reduce the width of that, or just bring these two up. Yeah. The next one is the actual foundations. So we'll try it out here. And 50 mil above ground level. Trying to determine on this particular piece, residential, yeah. Right, depth to be 1000 deep depending on soil conditions, and what I need now is a little, if I can borrow a ball there, and I put the ball here representing the depth. Put a line, and then take another line. That's beautiful. And then the trench foundations, take my little ball again. Come on. I'm having a bad day, so the last thing you want is these things to be, I'm not going there, I don't want to go. Yeah, let's move it in here. Oh my gosh, it keeps moving to the top. Turn off, snaps, and then problem will be solved. Did that happen to you? Of course it does. Perfect. Auto back on, and 50mm resident PPC above ground 85. I'm looking, and the mixed cavity fill. I don't think I need this bit of editorial, actually. That's what it is. I'm trying to see how that fits in, and it doesn't. It's not meant to be in there. I think it just came from one of my other bits of drawings that I was using in preparation, in the bit of preparation I did do for this particular detailed section. Okay, let's start trying to wrap this up. I can see there's a few bits missing, and we need to change this title. So the title is it's very simple: Trench Foundations. That's H. I've got the windows open, so we can hear the car noises at the back. It's end of the middle of June, and it's the heat wave. So we'll have to put up with that. Right. So what I've done a good few things wrong on this one, and it's absolutely fine because it's all part of the learning curve to getting it wrong. I can see I've got the insulation. When I copied over, I've made the insulation way too big because the insulation can't go below the DPC. The DPC is there. So you have to bring that up. Get the insulation above the damp proof. There's no way it can be any other way. So so it's just a matter of reducing, and that'll be fine. I can possibly use this box to chop. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah, that seems to be working so far. Just lose that. Right, this one seems to be a little bit small. So it doesn't have to be completely accurate, but it's nice if it's reasonably accurate or if it looks reasonable. So, you know, I'm a little bit fussy, but I'm not pedantic, as in it has to be absolutely perfect, otherwise we'd be here forever. Right, within the cavity here, generally that gets filled up with another mix. So if I put a few lines in, in fact just do a little rectangle fill at the moment. We use a different type of concrete for this. This is generally not a ballast. It's a fine concrete that's put in. It's like what you'd mix, almost like what you'd mix to join the bricks together, like a cement mortar mix. Right. So we've done it. We're doing about this one concrete. We want a finer one. We want to change the scale. Let's do 20 and see what happens. Yeah, perfect. Remove the outer line. Bring it up a little. And it's generally left at an angle. Right, left to explode, make it a little smaller. Here we go, we're starting to get presentable. You imagine I finished the detailed section and left the insulation in below the damp proof. I'd be getting a lot of emails for that. So, like I say, at least you can tell it's live. But we're starting to be representative. I mean, the other thing, of course, is I wouldn't want to misrepresent, because if you guys created technical drawings based on what you've learned here and what I've done, and I made a mistake or left something out, then it'll come back and bite you in the bum, I'm sure. Right, this is fine, that bit up there, but we've got a few other bits of information we need to put in here, and they're single lines of information, so I should be able to do them on a standard text insertion. So if I go and just rattle off Actually, no, that's going to give me formatting issues and so on. If I just pick one of these instead and just copy it, then I don't have to redo formatting. And I need 4 bits of info, 3 bits of info, 1, 2, and where are we going? 3. So I've 85 Celotex. Yeah, it's a simple way. If I started out by just getting a new bit of text, I would end up having to, do the font and do the size and so on. So this is a bit easier way of doing it, as far as I'm concerned. And then we need to number these anecdotes, or little lines of text. I always like to do that. Lean mix, cavity fill. Wrong one. Okay, there we go. So these don't have to be, let's just put a guide in there. They need to be in order, but they don't have to be out anywhere near as far as the text below me. So if I was to do that there, stop for a second. There we go. Just to get a kind of reference going here. The next one would be masonry wall. And so I see it's been written out. Masonry wall is detailed by architect, but for the ARB is very fussy on who uses the word architect. So I don't want to have issues with them. So I'm going to say masonry wall is detailed by designer. And so you try to avoid using the word architect because you may get pulled by the ARB. And I tell you this because we have been pulled by the ARB just for putting the word architect into the text. So just try and stay away from that because you end up having to redo some of your work because you made the mistake of using the word architect rather than the designer, especially if there's no architects working on the design of this detailed section. Right, so let's get a few lines in. Well, this has to be, let's see, yeah, these two are fine, but I need to move them up a little or take them out of there for just a minute because we're encroaching on the logo, and I'm trying to avoid that. So let's go up a little bit and go so, then we put these back, and I think we can also do them in line with these if necessary. So let's just go a little bit back, and we know that these are multi-text, so get the lines and the bolds in a moment. Right. Okay, so don't ask why, but neither of these two multi-text boxes can be adjusted in width, and I have no clue as to what the issue is. So I recreate it again on the left. What I'm going to do now is get rid of those and bring in the new ones. And just making sure the text is correct, the text size, etc. Right, this should help us to wrap this up. That's just about right, and we do another one. And again, we need to widen it up a little. Okay. Click off. Of course, this isn't quite right now. And just want a little touch. That's better. And this one, I think we're going to have to do a twist on it. Or maybe not. Maybe just take off. There we go. Right, we're getting there. This one's been a bit of a journey, and I think mostly it's because of the lack of preparation on my part, so I have to apologize for that. The idea is that, gosh, the idea is that we don't have you sitting around watching and wasting your time. The idea is to learn as much as you can, as quickly as you can. So on this particular video, you'll have to bear with me. Right, lean mix, so that's straight into little dot here. So we can borrow again. Looking at that one, that doesn't look like it should be there. And there you go, it shouldn't be there. Right, to lean mix. That's correct, 2 more of those, and well, masonry wall as detailed by designer. So on this one, not quite right, is it? So we'll bring this one forward. Bring to front. Problem solved. Now if we borrow again, and because I've got snaps off, it's not snapping very well, which is 1 minute it's fine and the next minute it's not. And this is black, where the line doesn't seem to be. That's the issue. So that's why I'm showing. Let me just change that again. Yeah. That's always the difficulty when you inherit bits and pieces from another file, or you take another detailed section. It may have been created a little differently. So I think we're okay here. That's representative. And the Celotex installation, which is of course this particular one. So I'm just want to check the sizing on that to make sure we're actually okay, and that it is 85, and yes it is, yeah. So it shouldn't be 85, in fact I'm going to make that 100. I think the building regs state 85, but in practice we're putting in 100 a lot of the time. So this particular one, take off, again go down, and then go across and get me a little ball. Doesn't look right. I think I better put snaps back on, otherwise we'll be here, definitely here for the rest of the day. And bring this one to the front. It's interesting that it doesn't want to show I seem to have picked up loads of rubbish as well when I picked that one up, because I picked up the concrete. Let's just take it back out again. And take the circle. And a bit of concrete rubbish can go. Now, yeah, so that's interesting. So if I go draw order, back one, no, it didn't. The line should come to the front, one would expect. Undraw order, bring to front, and yet it doesn't. So again, there's a little bit of an anomaly here, which I'm again, draw order, back to center back. No, so it is a little bit something crazy going on here today, and it's a brand new line, so it should be on top, and it isn't. So, oh well, now it is. Interesting. Or maybe it's because it was the same color and I was losing it in the color. That's probably what it was. Yeah, the software is driving me crazy today. Right, we're nearly there. It's been a bit of a journey, a bit of a haul. Now this one, I think I should stretch it out because we've got a nice bit of space here. And bring it down. And I think we can bring it all back a bit. Now we can see how it impacts. So I think when you see the amount of work that goes into these, you'd be more likely to buy them on our website rather than create them. But it's still great practice to actually end up creating your own, even if you get tired doing it, because you need to have quite a lot of detailed sections. But even so, it's good. It's great practice as a designer to get it done. All right, let's have a little look. We've got the editorial associated with the foundations. This is from the building regulations. Name is correct. The little bit skew there. Live with that. DPC, that's fine. Sand cement, yeah. VCL, this we didn't touch, we inherited. That one can, in theory, go as far as here. And I'm not sure if that line should be there. Yeah, or this one. Okay. Yep, that's fine. Concrete slab. Got that. Got the concrete trench. Mix It's telling you what the mix is. Again, the line here is the wrong color, and it shows. So it's a little bit of detail, and that line is probably the wrong color as well. So don't ask me how they become mid-gray instead of black. At some point they got changed. Black, black, black. Perfect. Okay, we're done. Happy with that, and that'll pass muster, as they say. That's a pretty decent looking drawing. Thank you very much for joining me on what I would say that, as I said, this has been a bit of a journey. But hopefully you got some value out of it, and you learned that sometimes it's a bit of a trial, but you keep going and get it done. And the last thing you want to do is put out a drawing that isn't correct. So if you see there's something wrong with it, get back in there and sort it out, and it'll certainly work better for you in the long term. Okay, listen. If we'll be doing hundreds of these detail sections over the coming months, and they'll be added to our site at detailsections.co.uk, which you can download there anytime you want. But in the meantime, what I would suggest is subscribe so you can get updates on the next detail section, and that's fine. Thank you for joining us. See you on the next video.